You're listening to the Betoota Advocate's weekly news wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5.
Hello and welcome to the Betoota Advocate's weekly news bulletin. My name is Errol Parker, replacing Clancy Overell, who's not here.
No, he's off on a cruise of the South Pacific with his fiancée.
Well, I think that they're getting married on the boat. I think when you're getting married for the 8th time, it's kind of like
best to elope.
Just buying a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, it's not really, that big a deal. Just get the stuff signed and moving on.
Yep.
Well, look, South Pacific, 7 days. I hope to have a nice time over the Easter break. But his absence is the reason that we've got Effie Bateman in the studio with us today. Effie, how are you?
Good. Very much looking forward to the Easter holidays.
Yeah, it'll be a nice little break before we get right into this election campaign. It's going to be a long few weeks, really. I've had enough already.
Well, yeah, this is a very solemn day in the Christian calendar. This is the first day that Jesus spent on the slab after being put to death by the Romans. So I guess
rest in
without
peace.
Further ado, I think we'll have to keep on moving with this bulletin. And I think the first one up is about Liberal Jesus.
Yes. So now that the election has been called and that's dominated the majority of the news cycle, so we'll start off with our biggest story from the world of politics with this headline, which says, "They're better economic managers," says puffer vest wearing prick who heard his dad say it.
One of those big four-headed blokes in chinos and RMs who starts telling everyone that John Howard was the best Prime Minister we've ever had after a beer or two at the pub. Yes, the battle lines have been drawn this week, with the Liberal Party pushing themselves as the safe pair of hands that the nation and economy needs, as they like to do leading into an election campaign. And that's a message that's been picked up by local Betoota Grove man Harry Rowland Thomas Gregory as well, Errol.
Yeah, how about the name on that bloke? It's like he's got 4 dads, mate.
Yeah, triple-barreled or quadruple-barreled?
Who knows, mate. So he's a 19-year-old student at the prestigious South Betoota Polytechnic School of Art and Design for the directionless fuck-ups of rich people, and he said that Labor is bad for business, and that means they're bad for the economy and bad for people like him who actually have a go in this life.
Yes, and as he said to us, and I quote here, "The Liberals put the personal responsibility on the person. You are responsible for your own destiny, not me or the bloke down the street. That's all Dad said before he dropped me off at art school. If you want to know more, you can go and see him at work or the golf course."
Well, the golf course makes sense. I'll tell you what, I don't think that little 4 names would be too smart if he found his way working at a construction site over summer, getting hit with a length of dog chain every time he puts a bloody broom down, Wendell.
Yeah, he might have a few different things to say, I reckon.
And moving on to the other side's political launch, and there's been some strong backlash for the opposition leader as he tripped and stumbled on day one, which caused an aged care resident living off powdered potato mash to be mortified that Albo overshot the employment rate by 1%.
Now, you're probably across this misstep from the leader of the Labor Party because it was plastered on every front page and news bulletin for 24 hours after it happened. But Albanese wasn't able to name the unemployment rate or the cash rate when he was put on the spot during a morning interview earlier this week.
Yeah, which probably isn't a good look for a guy with an economics degree who does want to be the next Prime Minister of the country.
I know, but he didn't get his university degree from one of those sandstone fuckboy institutions down there in a capital city, did he? Or did he?
I think he was one of those.
Jesus Christ.
He wasn't a college boy.
Put him on the fucking scrap heap and get Jim Chalmers in here, mate. If anyone's going to beat this fucking Scott Morrison, it's a fucking Queenslander. That's who it is.
It's gym time. Yeah, that misstep from Anthony Albanese did draw criticism from quite a few corners, including one upset Betoota Heights grandmother, Melody Moon, the 85-year-old who, in between spoonfuls of powdered mashed potatoes and what appeared to be some form of baked beans, said to us, and I quote here, "His inability to answer pointless gotcha questions is mortifying. And this is the man that has promised to me that he'll make sure I don't have to die in a destitute state of suffering, surrounded by underpaid workers in a for-profit aged care home, eating food that probably wouldn't even meet RSPCA standards. Disgusting. He's lost my vote."
Some pretty strong comments there. Anyway, let's go all the way back up north for our next story on the campaign trail, and we have an interesting pitch from Bob Catter. It's quite a long headline, so I might have to pass it to you, Errol.
Well, I might actually roll the tape on this one because he spoke to Clancy during his bi-weekly sit-down earlier this week, so I'll just run the tape now.
Federal elections are not won, they are lost, and that happy clapper from Cronulla is doing his very best to lose this thing. Because if Morrison had his head screwed on straight, he'd be focusing on the things that matter, like the fact that cash sales have been limited to 10 grand since Turnbull, which is a big issue for North Queensland Italians who, like me, are ideologically opposed to letting the bank and the taxman know when to decide to sell a car, a tractor, or a road train full of fruitstone. And while we're on the topic of pushing around honest farmers, let's talk about how there's cattle graziers out there who are forced to protect their fences from 7-foot kangaroos with bullshit post-Howard era pea-shooter rifles that couldn't blow the froth off a Liberal summer's cappuccino. And don't get me started on those bloody crocodiles. Ever since they began restrictive native hunting rights for my brother cousins in the Gulf, these bloody lounge lizards have been breeding like Irish Catholics and running the waterways from Torres Strait all the way down to Betoota.
Not sure what else you have to say about that one. Strong, concise, and to the point from the cowboy from Kennedy. Very, very hard to argue with what he's saying there. And side note, we do have an interview with Rod Jensen, who's running as Katter's Australian Party candidate up there in the electorate of Leichhardt. That's coming out on Monday. It was a good chat with Clancy and Errol. So jump on the Decode podcast feed and give it a listen.
Yes, Rocket Rod certainly knows how to speak North Queensland English, that's for sure. Definitely worth a listen. He really knows that part of the world and the people there.
Tune on in.
All right, and finishing up with some sports news, and the NRL is set to introduce optional bye rounds for the West Tigers.
This is a move I think all fans of God's Winter Game can get around. If you're a Victorian leg tennis aficionado, however, the West Tigers are essentially the Carlton Blues of years gone by. Just lackluster, useless.
Yes, anyone who has inflicted a Tigers game upon themselves this year will understand why this new rule has come in. Simply, if the Tigers aren't feeling like they want to put in more than, say, 50% effort to play a game, they inform the NRL 48 hours ahead of time that they just want the week off, and they'll be granted that. The NRL is going to give them up to 5 games a year off, and essentially it's to stop fans wasting their time and money turning up to watch another team's training run. Obviously very annoying. If you turn up there, you pay your money, you get a couple of beers, turn up and sit on the hill or sit in the stands, and then you're just watching this training run for, say, the Parramatta Eels on Easter Monday. Quite frustrating.
I think they probably just could have taken a bit of a gap here, and the Jets or the Bears could have come up and had a bit of a dabble in the top league for a little while, and then maybe the Tigers can get back into business when they're ready to dance with the big boys.
Promotion, relegation. Bring up the Jets. Bring someone up.
It's the only way to grow the game, and that's what we all want to do in this country, is grow the game until it's too big for its boots, like the fucking AFL. That's
end goal, isn't it, there?
Yep.
Anyway, we'll see how that all plays out, but that's all we've got in terms of the news wrap for you today. Enjoy your Easter break. We hope you're going well. Try not to get into any blues with the in-laws. We'll talk to you soon.
Happy Easter.